welcome to my book review of The Answer by Allan and Barbara Pease, which is how to discover what you want from life and then make it happen. So basically how to set goals and achieve goals. The most important thing that I learned, the most amazing thing that I learned and was about how our brain functions, which of course I love all that stuff, that we have in our brains the Reticular Activating System, or the RAS, R-A-S, the Reticular Activating System. It's located in the brainstem. It basically gets programmed. How it works is basically it processes all this information. There's lots of detail in here around this. But it says your RAS has a built-in GPS system. With a GPS, you don't need to know where all the roads are located in a given city. You only need to decide where you want to go. You input the data and the GPS directs you. If you take a wrong turn, it puts you back on track. And the satellite software in a GPS works out how to get you there, and that's exactly how your RAS works. So with a GPS, you need to decide where you want to go. So you need to decide where you want to go in life, not how you'll get there. So you don't need to decide how you're going to get there. You tell your RAS, your mind's GPS, where you want to go, and if you veer, of course, it's going to re-reach you. So it's also similar to a heat-seeking missile. You put in the coordinates of where you want it to go, press the launch button, and it goes there. So how do you do that? How do you program that? Well, you program it with beliefs, you program it with affirmations, you program it with goal setting, and there's sections on setting goals and step by step taking you through that. But it says, have you ever noticed that once you've decided on the type of car you want to buy, it seems that every car on the road is the one that you're considering buying? So when I purchased a blue Jazz, I don't think I'd ever seen blue Jazzes anywhere before. And then all of a sudden I saw Honda blue Jazzes everywhere. That's because that's what your mind is focusing on. So when a woman becomes pregnant, it starts to seem to her as if every second woman around her pregnant. It's because your RAS chooses which information it will see. It filters out because there's so much information going on in our brains. It can't cope. So it's a filtering system. It filters out. So we need to program the RAS. We need to decide what you want and then program your mind with what you want. And so, how do we do that? We absolutely set goals that we're passionate about, and then your RAS will focus your mind on that. Do vision boards. So I've recently done a new vision board, cut pictures out of magazines, words, things to focus your mind on, because your mind creates things from pictures. So there's a whole section in here on visualization. For those of you who might not be able to close your eyes and visualize what you want in life, create a picture. If you want to lose weight and you've never been the size that you want to be, find a body that you want, cut your head out and put it on top of it and look at that all the time. So I used a lot of this stuff. My brother gave me this book about 4 years ago, and I used a lot of this stuff with setting up my business, with focusing my mind. I have goal lists. One of the things that I'm not the best at is setting deadlines. There's a whole chapter on make a plan with a deadline, because the deadline motivates you. And when I worked at Auckland Transport, I had deadlines and they motivated me. With this, I'm like, I can do it next week. I can do it whenever. I'm not going to be motivated. My RAS is not going to show me things to get things done. But if I give myself deadlines, then it's your goal to trigger you to turn like a gun. It started to rain. So my favorite chapter, follow through despite what others think, do, or say. So when I decided I was going to be an RTT therapist, there were some people in my life who didn't think that it was a very good idea. And it says why others try to talk you out of your goals. They're worried. They're worried that it's, they're genuinely actually concerned for you, and they don't want you to lose your money or your health or your opportunities. So there were people that were genuinely worried that maybe it wasn't a good thing. I was in a very good career with I was in a high paid job, and so things like that. There are some negatives why people might talk you out of it, that you're going to show them up, or they're going to be intimidated by you because you're meeting your goals and it makes them feel bad that they're not. So basically, do it anyway is what this kind of chapter is being said. And if people try to talk you out of their goals, out of your goals and achievements, he gives you some practical, and you know me, I love practical techniques, agree with the truth, practical techniques. So if someone's criticizing you, you can give your critic, just agree with the truth of what they say. So, mother, if you go to work in Africa, you could die from a deadly disease. Daughter, you could be right, but I feel compelled to help the underprivileged and I can't wait to go. So she's agreed with the truth of what her mother said, but just maintained her own position. Technique number 2, agree with your critic's right to an opinion. Dave, if you sell your home to buy 2 smaller units, you won't be living as comfortably as you are now. Monica, I understand why you might feel that way, Dave, but I want to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30, and this is a major step towards it. So she's agreed with her critic's right to having the opinion, but not backed away from what they want and what they wanted to achieve. So that was really useful for me. I actually wrote out responses to things that people were saying to me so that I could practice them, so that if they did say them to me again, I could have my response kind of ready. Like I mentioned earlier, a whole chapter in here on discovering the art of visualization. I put a lot of visualization into my clients' recordings, and I also get them to put up visual images using the power of affirmations. I'm really big on affirmations, constantly positively affirming things that we want to achieve. And then there's this whole chapter on telling your body what to do. We actually have way more power to tell our bodies what to do than we actually think. So when I say I am calm, I am calm, I am calm, I actually calm my body down. When I say I am strong, I am strong, I am strong, I'm strong enough to do whatever it is that I need the strength to do in that moment. I have an example where I didn't want to get my period at a music festival, and so I commanded my body to get my period early, and I did. I told my body, this is what I want my period on this day at this time. I know it's going to be 2 days early, but that meant by the time of the music festival I didn't have my period, and it worked. So repetition talks in here about repetition, talks in here about breaking it down, setting diet guidelines, taking your high level vision and then breaking it into smaller goals. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. I can't remember if that's in this book, but that's something that I often refer to. So this helped me hugely in the beginning of my journey when I was trying to do something different and step out of my comfort zone to what people either expected of me or thought I should do. 8 out of 10, I still refer back to it occasionally, and the Reticular Activating System, however you say that, the RAS, brilliant. Program your RAS, and your RAS will take you to it without you needing to do that much effort. So highly recommended. Good read.